love that. I think that one of the themes I'm trying to find many of the themes that when in all these fantastic women like yourself that I've been interviewing, some of the themes that are going through, and there's mindfulness goes through everything, slowing down and awareness is going through everything. And I just love it because if we're all saying the same thing, there has to be something to it, right? There has to be something to it. You have said, Des, a couple of times, somatic exercises. Now, let's explain to people what that is. What are somatic exercises? Because some people are like, I don't know what that is. People don't want to Google it, so they don't make them Google it. So just talk to us about what that is and kind of give us some examples.
Yeah. So for me, when I do somatic exercises, it's really just any exercise that's going to involve the body. So a lot of times I will ask my clients to take, to close their eyes and take 3 deep breaths, and then I'll kind of guide them through some visualization connected to the body. So it could be, keeping it happy and keeping it simple. If I would be like, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and then I'll ask them to just kind of see where the energy is in their body. Is it, without trying to change it? Again, we're not here to change, just become aware of where our energy lies. And then, I'll ask them to think of a moment or to think of a concept. So it could be think of happiness, and so when they connect to that feeling of happiness, I'll ask them to kind of tell me, where is that in their body? Oh, I notice it's in my cheeks. How does it feel? What is this feeling of happiness? As you're connecting to this feeling in your cheeks, is it light? Is it heavy? Is it hot? If you ask happiness, this feeling in your body, a question, how can I bring happiness into my daily life? Does it have a response for you?
Mm.
And so I think when I do somatic exercises, it's really around that. It's really just visualizations to communicate with the body.
I love that question that you just asked, where you said, if I ask happiness this question of, how I can have more, does it answer? That's interesting. Tell me more about that.
So again, just imagining that all of these different concepts that are inside of you, happiness, success, shame, anger, whatever it is, they all have an inner knowing that is authentically yours. It is your energy. It is a result of all the experiences that you've had and your inner knowing what's best for you. So instead of following templates of happiness or success, why not ask your own inner happiness?
Oh,
Hey,
that's good.
happiness, hey, happiness, what do I want? What is going to best serve me? And it might be a little fumble in the beginning, especially because, like you said, we don't live in a society where we're taught to talk to ourselves or talk to the different concepts that are within us. But I really believe the more that we can connect to these energies within us or concepts within us, we can really start moving towards an authentic life that we really want. So really creating a life that is authentic to us, a life that we love, not a life that we're supposed to love.
What you made me think about, I love that. What you made me think about was, I did a talk with my group once, and I said, I know this is an impossible question. We were talking about your purpose. What do you want your purpose to, what is your purpose supposed to be? And when you start saying what you just said, I can see what you're saying is that you have an inner knowing. And sometimes, well, heck, it might be all the time, instead of trying to look for your purpose out there, you go inside and speak to your inner knowing. And without the shame, the guilt, the who go past judgment, or whatever the case may be, you go to your inner knowing. I realized when I finally decided to fully embrace life coaching, like fully, the money, the non-money, the connections, the non-connections, the this, the that, the whatever the case may be, I was at peace, because I knew what my inner self was always saying, because we could do a lot of things to make money, a lot of money, whatever the case may be. But when you get back to that, like you said, that inner knowing, that's where if I had to ask myself happiness, it's in speaking, and then it's in connecting with people and blessing and ministering to people. And I think that's what you're talking about, right? If we're looking at people trying to find their purpose, that's what you're saying. It's in there, right?
Definitely, and I'm sure that if everybody were able to kind of take that pause and really, because it's not like, you tap into your inner knowing overnight and you're like, okay, I woke up and I know my life's purpose. I know what I'm going to do. It's,
Right.
it takes work the same way that if you were to move towards your purpose externally, it would also take work. But it's a little uncomfortable. There's a lot of times where maybe your inner knowing is like, hey, as we move towards our purpose, I want to expand creativity. I'd like you to draw for a minute a day or sing, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm a really bad singer. I hate drawing. There's judgment, there's fear around it. It's a lot. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go on LinkedIn and apply for some jobs.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so looking back, it's sometimes the fear that we have of really allowing ourselves to be fully seen and fully expressed can be really overwhelming. And so, but I do believe that the more that people are able to, like you're saying, look inward without judgment, they'll be able to hear their kind of heart's desire.
I think that you're right on with that. And you really led into the question I wanted to ask next, which is where do we start? Right? Because it is uncomfortable. That is a really nice way to say as hard as heck sometimes. You just made it so nice, Des. It's so pretty. It's just so uncomfortable. No, sometimes it's hard, it's ugly, it's because we've changed our baseline with all of this stuff that we put on top of our inner knowing. So for wherever a person is, where would you say is a good place to start?
I'm going to come back to just definitions again, because it's not like jumping into shadow work. It's not like, oh my goodness, my whole life has been a lie. It's just, okay, I'm just going to start simple. I'm not going to do anything that's with the body because, sometimes it's very uncomfortable to people to sit still, especially if they've experienced trauma. There's a lot of anxiety that goes in that. So just define, what is happiness? What is safety? Because safety plays a big key in happiness and success just in life. So really come up with some definitions. What is safety? What is happiness? What is success? And what is love even? So really being able to pick 3 or 4 keywords to really define. And for people who can't define those words, just do the opposite. What is not safety? Okay, it's none of these things. And then being able to kind of take like a downward up approach. And so it's not this, what is it? And
So
maybe
once they,
level, what does it feel like in my body?
okay,
If this is a definition, what does it feel like?
so you go from the definitions of some of the keywords, which when you said that, I started thinking about maybe, where you are, what you're looking at out there. Like you said, success is something that I'm going towards. So then you really, really having a good handle on what that is. And oftentimes I think we find that it has more to do with these societal definitions of success and income level and what people see or what they drive, as opposed to what success means on the inside. But that's really what you get to if you go down that journey of those definitions, right?
Exactly. And I do believe, like you're saying, it's money, it's income, it's all of these things. They're all external kind of validating factors. But even when you're planning your success, if you're planning anything, a lot of times it's so much easier to connect to the end goal if you're connecting to the desire as opposed to an external outcome. Okay,
Right.
my version of success is this. And, I need to have 10 new clients by the end of the month. It's like, okay, well, now if I don't get 10 new clients, there comes that saboteur that's like, told you couldn't do it. I don't even know why you're trying this. And that negative self-talk comes in and the spiral starts. But if you change that goal from being like, I'm going to have 10 new clients to this is my version of success. And my goal is to connect and inspire to connect with more people, to connect with 3 more people, to have meaningful conversations. If you come back to that desire, there's so much more intrinsic motivation that will happen. I'm way more excited to start my day with the goal being to have a meaningful conversation than the goal to get 10 new clients. It's
Right.
a different kind of pressure that gets put on you as well too.
Well, and then the meaning, like you said, very eloquently, the meaning that we associate with it if it doesn't happen, right? So if I say I wanted to connect with 10 and I connected with 3, do I consider that failure or do I consider it success that I still connected with 3? And if you can't make that adjustment within yourself, then you have to look at the way you are talking about the goal setting for yourself. I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yes, definitely. Because expectations, they're a little dangerous sometimes. Expectations, they're if you don't meet expectations, then what happens? And, when expectations aren't met, that's the best time for the saboteur to really use that as evidence against you. And, the brain is smart. The brain is always looking for evidence in any possible way. And so if there's a part of you that is feeling fear or resistance or, the imposter syndrome or whatever it is that comes up, anytime you put an expectation that isn't met, it's going to be like, great, I'll use this against you for the rest of your life. And you're like, what? It was just.
Well, and you made me think about how, let's say someone's in a relationship, it's just a relationship, friendship, partnership, whatever the case may be. And they need to express something to this other person. And what they expressed wasn't received in the way that they intended or thought or whatever. That's being connected to an outcome. And I've literally coached people saying, but what happened was you're upset because you anticipated an outcome that you didn't get. And we have to get clear on, it's so hard to not be connected to the response of others, because then we take on this meaning, like you say, and then we process it in a whole different way. Am I saying that right?
I believe so. And again, when you're having these conversations, taking that expectation off, because maybe they say something that's beautiful. Maybe they say something that's actually going to project the two of you in a whole different path. But if you have the blinders on and you're like, this is the end goal, if that doesn't happen, everything else kind of gets blurred. And so It's a lot easier when you're having these conversations to be like, what is my intention of saying this, as opposed to what is my expectation?
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. What is my intention versus what is my explanation? I got to write that down because that's good. That is really, really good. Tell me about your signature programs. You have Redefining the Self and Tapping into the Self.
Yes. So these are like my two, I guess, most popular programs that I have. Tapping into Yourself is a program specifically for women. And so it is a 6-month program. And during that time, we do there's about 30 one-on-one kind of coaching calls that we have where we dive into values, authenticity, limiting beliefs, and just kind of the whole societal narrative that, unfortunately women kind of tend to take on around beauty, around love, around partnerships, around self-worth. So all of that kind of stuff. So we do that. There's weekly emails. There's daily exercises and a little booklet where I send additional exercises, because sometimes in this personal growth journey, it's great to be with someone one-on-one, but there might be some things that you want to work on outside of those sessions, and maybe really give it time to digest. And so I think it's really important to offer that space of support and guidance one-on-one with the client, and then to kind of stay with them through that process, because like you were saying, it's uncomfortable. It's really hard. It's really hard, especially for people, for both this and the tapping into the self course. It's redefining yourself. And sometimes there are going to be people in your life who don't like that, especially if you follow a people pleasing mentality, which, especially again for women, this concept of nurturing, of saying yes, you can't say no, people pleasing. When you start challenging that, or for both programs, when you start expressing your boundaries, it's gonna be a roller coaster. And so both of these programs are really geared on connecting to the inner self, redefining the self, figuring out what limiting beliefs are still in your life and that are holding you back from creating the life that you love. But the Tapping into Yourself is a 6-month program specifically for women.
I love it. I love it. I think we really ought to do, in addition to what you've said, several trainings on expressing your boundaries. I think, if we could just tell, I told people the year of no, say no.
Yes. And that is one, I did this program quite often in Prague, in person. And so it's something that I'm really excited to bring online this year. But it's just an intensive masterclass on boundaries. And it can't just be boundaries, because boundaries, for people who have a difficult time expressing it, it's for some deeper reason, right? If I say no, then this person's going to reject me. If I say no, then they're not going to love me. If I say no, then everyone's going to forget about me. Who am I if I don't say yes to my husband? Who am I if I don't say yes to my wife? And so this boundaries it's something that is just I'm so bad. I love boundaries. And I
No,
love,
but because it's massive and it is really, like you said, it's so connected to so many other things that the layers of it are just incredible.
yeah. And it comes down to like, sometimes self-worth as well. If I say yes to you, then I'm saying no to me. I'd
Right.
rather say no to me than to them. And so really getting people comfortable and confident enough in themselves and their self-worth where they're like, you know what? I can't give beyond my capacity anymore. It's not something that I can do. Or on the other side, if you're giving beyond your capacity so much, you're like, I'm feeling resentment towards this person and I don't know what to do. It's like, well, are you giving beyond what you can and why? And so, really being able to break down why we have a difficult time expressing boundaries, what's the fear in expressing boundaries, and are we worthy enough to say no?
And what we are getting by not doing that, right? Because there's something that we are still satisfied within ourselves, the
Mhm.
need to be needed from
Yes.
some people, right?
Mhm. That
So that's why
validation.
boundaries can just be this thing that can go on and on and on. And I think there are trainings that continue to come up all the time. I have so enjoyed talking to you, Des. Tell me,
Yeah.
how can the people get in contact with you if they want to reach out to
So I've got a website. Everybody can contact me at theinterconnectedself.com. And there they've got, I do free webinars every now and again. All of my programs, my 4 and 6 month programs are there, and individual coaching sessions that I offer. I'm also on Facebook at The Interconnected Self. And I just started an Instagram. I'm getting new to like the social media kind of craze and everything. Especially, in Prague, it wasn't so big, but coming back to the US and just having unlimited data and this whole new network, it's something that's very exciting. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram at The Interconnected Self, and the website is theinterconnectedself.com.
Fantastic. I again have definitely enjoyed myself. I got notes all over my paper here. Um, you have the last word, my dear. What would you like to leave the people with? What's your last thought?
I guess my last thought is no matter what is going on in your life, I hope that everyone is able to take that moment of inner connection because you matter.
You
And I think
matter.
that's it. You matter, and you're worth it.
I love that. I just want to say again, thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
thank
time, you
you.
guys. This has been a fantastic time with Miss Des Caminos. And I hope you guys reach out to her because she's absolutely fantastic. Again, I'm Dr. T with Life Coach in a Box. Is another masterclass. We'll chat with you guys soon. Take care.